Good morning, all, and welcome to Dev Chat for February 20th, 2019.
Wait, what is the date?
To the 20th.
Whoa, I can hear us.
Yeah, Tony has left the volume on the other computer so we can hear ourselves.
Tony's letting us hear ourselves.
Okay, good. We can everything's back to normal now. I had to panic there for a second. A little technical resets. Shut the stream off. Start it again.
Let's just go back to talking about dogs like we were doing before this.
Yeah, there was a pretty heavy dog chat going on.
I'm Will Hungerford, lead developer of Private Press. I don't own a dog. This is Oz Schoonover, who has an adorable Chihuahua mix.
Yeah, he's a Pomeranian Chihuahua. He's a Pomchi.
A Pomchi.
That's what they call him.
And he's
What are you
our
pointing
development
at?
manager.
Apparently names.
Oh,
And
God,
this
I mean, out of context, it's really strange.
This is
Jeff Olson, playtest
Jeff
coordinator,
Olson.
and he has, among other things, a delightful corgi.
Yeah, I have two dogs, a corgi and a bichon. Everyone really cares about the corgi.
Yeah.
Corgis are great.
For those of you that are used to the sweet sound effects we've had for the last few weeks, like the drums and the sound effects, we're having small technical difficulties. There will be no sound effects on this stream today. It's
This
okay.
is when I pull my mic off and storm
Just
out.
storm out.
If we can't have drums and ocean noises,
What's the point?
how can we do a stream?
What's the point? What's the point of anything?
I've been spoiled. I've been brought up to a new level of quality, and then my hopes have been dashed.
This is quite the tangent. This is the rant you're going on here.
I do.
If you're wondering what you're watching, this is not Tangent and Dog Chat.
It
This
isn't?
is Dev Chat, where we're going to be talking about the Week 3 updates for the Talion CID. At the end of today's show, you're going to want to hang out because we're going to talk about the start of the Infernal CID
We are.
and what to expect on next week's stream, which is going to be a doozy. But
It's not going to be.
Why are we talking about this right
doozy.
now? Let's wait till later.
You're teasing the tease.
Yeah.
By the way.
that's what you do.
No, you don't tease teases.
Oh my God.
You're like you should. All you say is you say something like, "Stay tuned for the end of the show because we're going to talk about something."
Is this
really
are we
cool."
live or is this like the practice stuff?
No, we're live.
Have you not been on this show before? This is how it works.
Okay, I'm gonna have some
so,
filler.
see, look at all those hearts. I was right.
What?
A
Anyway.
giant stream of hearts just went.
I want to
by.
talk about the stream schedule real fast. I'll talk about
You
Mini
should do
Crate,
that.
and then we'll talk about the Talion CID, and then we'll get to the exciting stuff.
You should
Okay?
do all of our normal sponsorship like stuff.
Yeah, here
and
we
then
go.
We'll get to the,
Hey, we stream. We stream on Twitch and Facebook, which is what you're watching right now. Every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, you can catch us at Dev Hangout. Usually we have more information and less bickering, but not today. Thursdays is Get Your Paint On with Jordan Lamb, where Jordan paints things, has special guests on, and teaches you hobby tips and tricks. Once a month, we do Primecast Live, which is where we get people throughout the company to come on and just talk about what they're up to.
and on the screen right now, there's a fourth thing
was about
that
to-
hasn't been on there for a while.
I know, I was going to say the next Primecast
I was
Live.
teasing your tease.
Jesus.
Go crazy.
The next Primecast Live is March 22nd. But however, March 8th, the Rumble returns. All new, all better, all exciting. More information coming. But you've been asking where the Battle Report stream was. March 8th is going to be the relaunch. More details coming soon.
Yep.
The other thing I want to mention before we get going, as usual, is Mini Crate. And Mini Crate just cycled. So we are on the new Mini Crate model for the War Machine line, which is the Seeker of Silence, the alternate Silas. It's also the beginning of the new VIP model cycle. So if you sign up for 6 months, you get whatever model is the current one, which is currently Seeker of Silence. But you also get the new Dr. Arcadius. You get the Bride of Arcadius model, which I am super excited to get mine. Huge Minions fan, so be replacing my regular Arcadius with the Bride.
Yep.
And currently for the Legend of the Five Rings mini crate, you have till March 5th, so you got a little bit while left for Daidoji Uji.
Yep.
Is the current mini crate model there. You can go to mini-crate.com to check them out. Let's talk about CID things.
Yay.
We have a tiny stack of papers here. We made a small update yesterday morning.
Small but important.
There were a couple typos in it,
Impactful.
and we're gonna correct those typos with another update soon. But we're also discussing a couple of other model changes that might go in that update. So that's why we haven't pushed a new one that fixes a couple of
For
problems.
everybody in chat right now, hi, and thanks for joining us. We will try to get to your questions as we can. So we won't be able to get to all of them, but keep talking to us, and we'll stop. For example, before we go into this, someone asked if there's going to be a CID just for the Bride of Arcadius. The answer is no. The next CID is going to be Infernals, which we'll talk about in a bit. So, where do you want to start?
The top page.
The Blockader or the Blockador?
We change it every week.
Yeah.
Hungerford has a problem with reading. Don't make fun of him about it. It's a real thing.
The Blockader.
Yep.
The Blockadeer. We reduced his point cost a little bit, didn't we?
We upped the POW of the
Yep.
fire breathers to 14,
Yeah, because they're now heavy fire breathers.
and we dropped them to 34 points.
Yep.
This was after 2 full weeks of playtest, seeing how people were using
Yep.
him, his overall effectiveness compared to the Galleon, which is his obvious direct comparison in the faction. And we're not looking to make too many more like massive changes to his role on the field. We just want to make sure he's at the right point cost for what he's doing. The heavy fire breathers might have become too strong between spray 10, POW 14, and shooting gallery. So there is a chance that will.
Yeah, we're going to keep an eye on it. We're going to definitely be checking out battle reports and stuff. If we were to tune this, I think the likely place we would tune it is maybe the spray 10's got on a spray 8. But again, this is just us like kind of idle chatter about thoughts.
And one of the things we've been really careful about is a lot of people in their feedback have been asking for this model to be more effective in melee. And we already think it's very, very effective with those range 4 pushes around the table.
Yeah.
So we want to be very careful about that kind of thing.
Legionnaire says he's been disappointed with how easy it is to tie up the Blockader, even with ancillary attack with the Powder Monkey. Has there been any consideration to giving it retaliatory or defensive strike? No. It is as easy to tie it up as it is any other Colossal Gargantuan, and with ancillary you actually have better chances to clear it out so it can charge later. So we are definitely not considering giving defensive strike, retaliatory, or any sort of reactive attack to the Blockader, especially when you've got Powder Monkeys available in faction. The Swabber got a small little change that a lot of people were asking for. Turns out Girded was a bit more popular and desired than we originally had intended. We had taken it off and replaced it with Shield Guard. We decided why not both?
We'll just put it back,
So to make the Swabber an even more viable and enticing option, it now just got the Girded back and did not lose Shield Guard for it.
Yeah.
And some people in the feedback and stuff have been asking for this thing to have more of a melee impact, but we don't want that to be its job.
Yeah.
We want this to be a shooting platform that can do some support like Shield Guard and Girded and Lash and those kind of things more in your backfield.
I would say upgrades to the Mariner and obviously just the Freebooter being legitimately probably one of the best like discount heavies you can get for its point value and what it can possibly do. We don't need another beater heavy.
Yeah. I guess I was about to add, but I was about to say the exact same thing you said. This is supposed to be like a value range light that adds a lot of little cool things to your army, some defensive measures, it has the drags, and it has the range attacks, and it's pretty tough. We're not going to just slap a POW 18 onto it or something like melee attack, right? This is supposed to be a dedicated support and range platform that assists your army without necessarily going around murder-facing the entire universe.
The Scallywag has gone through some serious changes during the CID. You know, the whole Feign Death, hit the deck package has been removed. It got innate Gang Fighter earlier. The bond became groundwork. Paid very close attention to everybody's feedback about that, and now we have changed the bond. So basically, the whole knockdown game this guy used to have, including groundwork, that's all gone now. Doesn't have it. Still has the great mobility, still has the leap, overtake. Gang Fighter makes him even more, I mean, he's MAT 9, POW 14 on multiple initials, effectively the Gang Fighter, and he can get in really good positions. But now the bond with Shay is extended control range.
Which there's a typo in there because of the formatting and templating of that ability. There just was a chunk that wasn't pulled out, and we're gonna do that in the next update. So don't worry, the bond is when he's bonded to Shay, he has extended control. Not if he's also in control, he has more control, because that's a weird thing.
Yeah, and I think that, ultimately the Scallywag is sort of this like decent offensive output harassment piece that can get where it needs to be because of overtake and because of the ability to leap. And when you take it with Shay, just letting it be out there with the pirates, and Shay can be back kind of wherever he needs to be and still allocating it focus. So currently we're pretty happy with the whole knockdown module and all the tricks around it being yanked out, and it having more of a... I think its role is a little bit clearer now, and more importantly, it's got way less rules on it, because the original version of the Scallywag had a ton of rules. It was like old school Loki style rules, and it's good when we can have something have a clearly defined role in the game and not require 8, 9, 10 different abilities with text on them to do so.
And then some questions in chat, like JP's asking if there's a chance of getting dodge. Probably not. We want that to be the kind of purview of the upcoming new Swashbuckler that we'll talk about here from yesterday.
Yeah, and so the questions people are asking, that really ties in. Swashbuckler got massive
We overhauled the role of the Swashbuckler.
Yeah.
Because our original ideas for it weren't really panning out in our playtest and in the CID playtests.
Yes.
So we reevaluated this model and switched around some of its package.
So let's talk about what the Swashbuckler is supposed to do before we talk about the changes. The Swashbuckler is a harassment light. The idea being it gets in there where it wants to be, and then it provides an annoyance your opponent has to deal with due to things like defensive strike and the ability for it to reposition because of the picking up dodge.
Yep.
Originally, we were trying to go with a whole like it grabs you with the clamp and it shoots you with the gun on there, but we realized that was far less compelling than creating something unique for Talion that was more useful.
Yeah.
And we've tested multiple versions of things, so we're going with a package that we think people are going to enjoy more, and we're really interested in the feedback and the battle reports with it so far because it is pretty far away from where it started the CID at.
Yeah. And the goal with it is something that can get into melee and be hard to remove.
Yeah, tie up resources.
And possibly protect other models with its defensive strike.
Yeah.
Because if you've got it next to a really important piece and your opponent wants to charge that thing, they're going to have to deal with the Swashbuckler, and it's not that easy to deal with because of duelist and dodge and all that stuff.
It lost brutal charge, it lost close volley, it lost dual attack. Like that whole module gone completely. And it picked up, the main package it picked up is dodge, defensive strike, duelist, right? Like that's the three big things it picked up. It also got assault, which is nice, but I think dodge, defensive strike, duelist on a light that's 13, 16, that says what this Jack does.
Yeah.
Right, like right there for an 8-point light. And we see chat right now seems a lot of people are enjoying the Swashbuckler and what he's doing now. I would say definitely if you like these changes or if you don't like these changes, make sure you go to the CID forums, which are up on the screen right now, and get some games in. Show us what you can do with a Swashbuckler. Show us what you can do with 5 Swashbucklers.
Yeah.
The other little change too was the fact that the gun switched to a holdout, which is a range 4 POW 12, right?
Yeah.
Our page should actually reflect that because I pulled off of a previous PDF.
But yeah, we lowered the range and upped the POW of the pistol. So it's more of a secondary weapon.
Yeah, and it gained assault, so it goes
when you're
in.
close in. Yeah.
And it picked up open fist on the clamp too, which is nice when you need to throw things. I mean, the gun going down to range 4 and then picking up assault, I think really emphasizes that we're making the gun a less bigger deal than the Swashbuckler.
Yeah.
Because previously when the gun was with close volley and all that, when the gun was the emphasis, it wasn't panning out. Now this Jack has what we feel is a much better place in the faction. The Powder Monkey received a change that is going to affect other people, specifically Madcaps, and that is that catastrophic explosion now only triggers on enemy attacks. And that's because shenanigans were occurring with people blowing up their own monkeys, and it's not what ultimately we wanted to have happen. So now he's going to keep catastrophic explosion. The model's standing on a powder keg.
Yeah,
like that's not going away.
It's a giant barrel of explosives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be a giant barrel of bananas.
It could be. We don't know.
Non-zero chance it's full of bananas.
No.
It's true. We don't know what's in there. Like non-zero chance it's full of bananas.
It could also be explosive bananas.
His Empower is more than likely him adding gunpowder to like the engines of the warjacks.
Or
and
bananas.
Everyone knows what happens when you put a banana in a car's tailpipe. It's the opposite of empowering it.
Okay.
I've seen movies. I know how it works.
Legionnaires asks, is there a reason why the Buccaneer's net doesn't have an AoE or at least a debuff? Well, it does have a debuff and then it knocks people down.
Yes.
But the reason it doesn't have an AoE is we actually talked about that at great length. Internally, we've had a lot of discussions about the Buccaneer, and we looked at his point value and all the things it's doing compared to other Jacks around the same point level. And just simply put, we felt it was a little too much to give him an AoE as well. Because to give him an AoE, we wouldn't want to cut Assault. So if you give him an AoE, he also has to pick up Steady. Otherwise, he assaults in, throws the net, and knocks himself down.
He throws it on himself, and it just happens to get on you, too.
And you could say we'll play around that, but we don't want to build that trap into a model for a new player who picks up their Buccaneer, uses Assault for the first time, and knocks himself down. So suddenly, this Jack is picking up Steady and an AoE, and his point value has to go up. It's just a lot going on. I mean, we talked about maybe giving him Quake, different things like that, but ultimately,
and all those
he's good for a 7-point Jack.
And those discussions might be continuing, but we have talked about it, and this is the place we want to test the Buccaneer at right now.
That's not to say he won't change, but if he does change, if he picks up any sort of AoE knockdown, it requires more to him.
Yeah, and you were right. What we talked about the most was any of those changes might bump up its points cost even more than we just recently bumped it up. So Like that, we want to be very careful about that.
Yeah, I don't think we need 2 8-point lights in the faction. And keeping him 7 or lower is good.
Eddie Johnson has a question over in the Facebook chat asking about basically if, even though it's a Talion CID, a lot of the models are accessible in things like Lily's Resistance or Irregulars, and whether or not people are posting reports, and if we're keeping an eye on those, the answer is yes. There were lots of reports of people taking just like a single Mariner in Irregulars or whatever.
Yep.
So yeah, that's definitely a thing that happens and that we pay very close attention to and make sure we're, because yes, they need to work in Talion, but we also need to be aware that they will work in other Merc themes. So.
It's one of the things we said at the beginning of the CID is one thing we really want to see is that Talion, like these models, like you said, they work in all these different theme forces, but Talion needs to have a reason to exist, right? Like the benefits in Talion need to do something that people really want, right? And so it's okay if these things are a little bit better in Talion than they are in other theme forces because that's sort of their home.
Yep.
Speaking of people that get tested in other theme forces, and one of the most difficult to balance in the CID by far, Captain Rahera.
Propaganda Panda has a question in Twitch chat. I just want to point out that we will be probably discussing exactly the question, which was, if necessary, how would you tune down Rahera's feat? So that'll be part of this conversation.
Yeah. So
Captain Rahera, Terror of the Wailing Sea.
Rahera lost Decap and Blood Boon.
Yes.
She picked up Blood Weaver, a unique ability that is effectively infinite Blood Boon. If she kills somebody in melee, she gets to cast a spell that costs 3 or less. Note, it's melee, so you can't bleed someone into a free bleed, or black spot someone and shoot and just go ham. She also picked up Leadership Sprint. So
for Living Privateers and Shard.
For Living Privateers and Shard, and a completely different feat.
Yeah, we reworked her feat because we weren't exactly happy with any version of her previous feat.
And finally, she got Gang Fighter. Just innate Gang Fighter. Now here's why. Here's what we want Rahera to do. We want your pirates in your army to walk up. We want Rahera right back there. She's got the anti-range spell in Rough Sea. She's got Manifest. She's got Escort. She has all these cool things, right? She jumps over the front line. She kills a couple people. Bloodweaver now lets her trigger just by killing any enemy, right? She casts a couple spells. Then she sprints back to safety. Her forces go in. Then they sprint back where they need to be, possibly back into the bubble.
Or deeper.
Or deeper.
Or deeper.
Depending on what they want to do.
Especially then, because her feet can go off, and if they did sprint in deeper, maybe they can punch something new they haven't punched before, or shoot something new.
Exactly.
Before.
And the idea is that she has more going on turn to turn than her focus allows, right? She can't cast all these things unless she gets in there and kills a couple people, uses Gang Fighter and the sprint and the package she has to then bounce back to safety. That's the idea. That's what we want to do with her. And part of that was making sure her feet also, when you finally got there and got stuck in, did something really strong and set that up. So now her feat is models in her battle group and all living friendly warrior models in her control range immediately make a melee or a ranged attack. That's a feat.
That is.
Now, one of the things that we're looking at, one of the things we're paying close attention to, is if that feat ends up saying melee attack and not melee or ranged attack.
We're balancing and weighing the power of a bunch of stuff shooting again and how much of an impact that can have because of ranges and stuff like that, versus pushing it more toward melee so that you have to already be engaged with things for really to get that benefit.
Jack's running up and shooting, we already know, like Bart can already do that, right? He can run up and he can broadsides, no big deal. But it's the infantry, right? And it's when you play her outside of Talion, is Eris 1 running and then Rahera catching up and feeding to get that extra range to be able to shoot? Is that a problem? Things like that. That's really what we're paying attention to. So get in there, get your battle reports, try and exploit it, try and do the worst you possibly can. Obviously, money-shotted Shard Pirate spraying and then spraying again, like assault spraying and then spraying again.
I mean, even without the money shot, the sprays are pretty potent.
Yeah.
Like the money shot obviously helps, is a big deal, but like...
When they go to 7-14s, right, like it's a big deal. When they get to do that twice, that's really strong. And then you've also got to test this feat in cricks. Like, does a Kraken and maybe a pair of Leviathans being able to effectively get broadsides for off this caster, is that a big deal?
Well, and it's living things, so all that recent pirate crick stuff, like the Black Ogren and the Marauders and stuff, those things all have range attacks too. So you can build an army.
Again, the Commodore Nicer shot, it's a big deal.
Now, I noticed a lot of people, when they first saw this, they were worried about interactions with Black Spot. Don't forget, Black Spot only triggers during activation.
Yes.
So she can feat and make an attack and trigger black spot with her feat attack because it's her activation. But if anyone else shoots because of the feat, they're not triggering more black spot shots. So now when they go on their own turn, they obviously can as well. And I think getting black spot out there is going to be easier now because of Bloodweaver.
So Steve in the chat asked, are we concerned about accurately testing her with all the changes we're making? And that's why we do CID, is to get a lot of attention on models as we adjust them at the end of a playtest thing. Because sometimes, like the Swashbuckler, we overhaul things at the end of our playtest cycles because we've been playing them for a while, they've gone through small iterations, and we realize they should change. And then a lot of times these kind of things happen where we're tuning in power level at the end, trying to find that spot. And you guys help us do that by playing the game and filling out the survey software we have. Because that also gives us a really quick way to look at what people's feedback is without having to read every single forum post on the entire forum.
And one thing to note, like Jeff, you were talking about the Commodore cannon.
Oh yeah, I realized. Yeah, I just also realized. I was thinking about that.
Yeah,
as I was saying it, I was going over my head because you have to have the action to fire it.
Yep.
I lied.
It also lives.
And that's the thing that's going to come up a lot.
Oh yeah, it's not living.
Is people shooting the Commodore cannon, which doesn't actually work with that feat, and that's okay.
Good catch. Good catch.
Yep.
I caught myself as that pose at some point too.
So just so everyone is on the same page, losing the ranged attack of part of the feat is on the table. Right now,
if we find it's a problem.
Yeah, it could become everybody in her battle group and all living warrior models in her control range immediately make a melee attack, which in Pirates with Gang and Point Blank will still be strong, lets people unjam, lets you run a bunch of Jacks up there under Manifest Destiny and get a free attack.
Yep.
That is still a solid feat. Right now, it's a very powerful feat. We have to make sure it's not too powerful. Test it, do your worst, let us know what you think. Don't be surprised if the range attack comes off.
Yeah.
Or don't be surprised if it stays.
Yep.
So before we start closing things out and talk about next week, let's see if we had any other questions we want to hit real fast. Did you guys see anything else you want to talk about?
Not necessarily. I mean, I've seen other questions, but they're not things we're
one thing I saw is someone asked about giving her sidestep, probably not on the table. A common thing that I'm seeing in reports is people being like, oh, well, it's really dangerous for her to get up there and like hit something and sprint away. But like, that's fine. She has Pathfinder, she has acrobatics.
That's why we weren't that worried about giving her infinite blood boon, basically.
Yeah.
Is that she has to do that in melee, and she does have tools like Rusty's and Sprint to put herself in a safer position.
Yeah.
But if she wants to go in and kill enough stuff to cast all of her spells, then she's going to have to pay some sort of opportunity cost for that in risk, basically.
And things like sidestep or an overtake or some more mobility, those specifically are probably not on the table for her because she has, and I'm doing some air quotes here, unlimited blood boons effectively. We don't want her to like Pac-Man through multiple models and just get free spells without a little bit of an engagement cost on her part. Now, other things can be on the table. I don't know what those things are necessarily, but you also have to understand that anything that's on the table probably means she loses something. So if you're happy with her losing acrobatics to add something else, right? We're not just going to give her more. Like her page is already.
She's not going to keep getting more and more.
Icon-tastic over here. So
yeah.
There's been a bunch of questions running through. One of which was, is the feat, if it only became melee, is that basically a poor man's version of Striker 2? Not necessarily, because it lets you clear things out that might be jamming your force up and then activate afterwards to push in. So the timing is different, and timing being different on feats that do similar things is a world of difference, honestly. One being at the end of activation, everybody moving 3 inches and making attack, versus doing it right then and there.
Or feats that say during their activations things can make a second attack or whatever.
Yeah.
The ability to have your caster activate at any point during your turn and give your entire army an attack.
Yeah. We saw this with Magic 2, right? This used to be Magic 2's old feat, except it was a melee attack against everybody in their range or a ranged attack. Now obviously this is not Trolls, and feats are not created equal across factions because sometimes they have to do different things because of what's available for the faction. So we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening here.
I wouldn't expect to see drastic changes to her this late in the game, as it were.
No, I would not either. We've seen a lot of people asking about Riot Quest. No Riot Quest news today. We'll have more Riot Quest news coming in the future.
Yep.
Until then, enjoy that Wolf with No Name preview we did last week. And are we going to see some CID weekly rumbles? Well, when we start up the new rumble, you'll see what we're playing. And is it possible that we do CIDs, like CID games in the rumble? I think that's totally possible.
We've talked about it a lot.
We probably want models that are good enough, like proxies.
We've talked about basically just showing people how we playtest a game. So we might do that on one of our. Whether we could even do that on a down week on this show, we could just sit around and playtest part of a game and talk about how we do that.
Yep. Thoughts about extending the CID? Nope. I think we're right on track. I think we're very happy with the direction and all the feedback we've been getting and everything. So,
Abara says, why not make her feat assault? Because she also works in Crix, and Iacos 2 does that. Yeah. Was it boarding action is the name of the feat, which is +3 speed and assault. So we definitely don't want to sort of like double up on somebody who also works in Crix. It's already been done. There were actually original talks with Rahera with feats that were very. Like we're like, what if she like got to? We went down this whole line of like, what if she got to like move everybody a little bit, and maybe they could move with Pathfinder and stuff like that. And we're like, wait a second, this is basically just Shay's feat, and you have to be careful sometimes. You don't want to step on someone else's toes that already exists in the factions they can be played in. So I think that's all for now. You've got till Friday. This CID ends on Friday, everyone. So please go to cid.privateerpress.com, get your battle reports in, and let us know what you think. Because come Friday. It's all said and done.
And that question about extending the CID, we can't do that because we have basically a couple of weeks until the next one. And if we push this one farther, that would give us even less time in between.
Let's go ahead and just talk about that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Friendly Troll Painter is now screaming for me not to ignore him, and he's asking for Gaston to join the pirate crew because we made a mini crate model of Gaston in a pirate outfit.
We did.
Friendly Troll Painter, you know I love you deeply as a person. But no, he's not a pirate. He's just cosplaying as a pirate. Sorry.
People asking about when the Steelhead update will come out soon. TM?
I would expect sometime early March.
Yeah, we're literally working
not February.
The Ontario Team Championship list lock date was yesterday.
Yeah,
and we tend to not do updates to the game when a sizable event
we attempt to
to not ruin. I mean, we can't aim around every single event, but when something sizable comes up that we can adjust the schedule to, we don't want to drop a change after people have made a plan and like really mix up their entire tournament situation.
Yep.
So yeah.
Cool. All right, I think we're done here. Cut the stream. We're good to go. Everything's together. Hey, let's go grab lunch.
We're done.
Yep. Okay. Thanks, everyone. That was all the news for the next CID. Blah, 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 yada, yada.
Tony hasn't put the new slide up.
Oh, yeah.
I keep expecting Tony to like...
Do we want
to...
I'm waiting for you.
All right. So next Wednesday...
It's a standoff.
On the dev chat, we're going to be doing an Infernal rules overview. Now,
this will not be model stats and rules,
Yeah.
FYI.
We might reference them, but
Yes.
it's not going to be the entire CID.
The idea is the CID itself starts on Wednesday, March 6th.
So 2 weeks from today.
We will do we will do that CID, the dev chat, and then we're going to drop the rules after because we want time to talk to all of you about the new rules. We're going to do the overview next week and then have the dev chat with all of you, then drop the rules. And here's why. Infernals work so different than a lot of things you've ever seen in War Machine and Hordes. We need to explain to you the summoning mechanic. We need to explain to you what Essence is and how it works instead of Focus and Fury. We need to explain to you how their damage circles work versus grids or spirals you've seen. There's a lot of major stuff here. Okay?
Yeah,
and by the way, these are all very, very specific teasers where, yes, we get it. You guys have no idea what this is.
Yeah.
Enjoy that.
And that's so unlike every other new thing we've ever launched, Infernals breaks new ground.
Yeah.
So we are arranging next week as a preview to talk over the basics of playing an Infernal army with the new mechanics that you've never seen before so that it comes as less of a shock when you get everything in your hands.
Yes. I mean...
So we're not going to give you documents next week, but we're going to go through the core, just like Cephalix have their own rules, and even Rulik has its own rules. It's like a paragraph that says Rulik things can only have Rulik things.
This is a couple pages.
This is a couple of pages that says Infernal Masters can summon Infernal Horrors. And they use Essence instead of Focus and Fury.
And how they get Essence and
when
all
you
that.
damage a Horror, it doesn't work the same way as a Jack or a Beast.
Yeah.
So we want to explain all that stuff to you guys.
That way when the actual CID
then
launches...
you have a week to kind of process that, and then we'll give you all the stats and all the documentation, and then you won't get blown away. And like Hungerford said, we're going to give you all the PDFs and officially launch the CID after we talk about it here.
Yes.
So,
which is different than we've normally done.
Yep.
Because we want to go through slowly and explain it to everybody so that there aren't a bunch of people reading things and freaking out and like asking crazy questions and playing telephone on the internet before we get a chance to talk about it.
Well, if you just play the game, say casually or occasionally, Infernals when you first see them are going to take a second to adjust to.
Yeah.
And we want to have that conversation
Yeah.
specifically, like, summoning has never been done in War Machine and Hordes, especially at this scale, right? We've had a couple things
yeah.
like the Well of Ouroboros brings something into play, stuff like that. There's been
ambush type stuff where you can set something aside and bring it in later.
But a core mechanic of turn to turn, like it's not part of my army list.
Yeah.
You know, and everything that works that way. So we've just got a lot to discuss with everybody. Yeah. So get ready. Next 2 weeks are going to be all Infernal centric, and then you'll have the rules in front of you, and then get ready for what is going to be a pretty massive CID cycle as we go over the entire new faction for several weeks. And you get to help play test everything and let us know what you think about the faction releasing later this year.
Yep. So again, next week we will be doing an Infernal rules summary. It will not include
model stats.
Yeah, we'll not have model stats in it.
It also won't include PDFs or anything.
Yeah, we won't have any. We won't have any deliverables for you. We'll not be giving the community anything.
Join us next week to talk about what we're adding to the game, core rules-wise for this new faction.
And then the week after that, starting March 6th, is when we will be beginning the CID for Infernals. So 2 weeks to the start of the Infernal CID, and 1 week for us to give you kind of the heads up on all the cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. So join us tomorrow, everyone, for Get Your Paint On with Jordan Lamb at 10 a.m. Pacific. And don't forget that the Rumble is coming back on March 8th and Primecast Live. The next episode of that is going to be March 22nd. And of course, every Wednesday and Thursday, you can join us for the Dev Hangout and Get Your Paint On, respectively.
And to hype up the Get Your Paint On, I don't think this is set in stone, but I believe John will be on Get Your Paint On tomorrow to actually talk about Lock. I saw a couple people ask about Lock and Load in chat. I believe he will have some further details. I don't know specifically what they will, but he will be there to talk about Lock and Load. So if you were looking for the hot Lock and Load news, be there at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Get Your Paint On with Jordan Lamb and friends.
So thanks for joining us, everybody. We're going to go to Jimmy John's and get some lunch.
We're not all going to go.
Most of us.
We're going to get lunch, though.
Yeah, we're going to get lunch.
I mean, I guess
we'll catch you all later. We'll see you tomorrow. Have fun.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
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 Jeff just had some sort of weird...